Hey, welcome back to another Habs Notebook Podcast with hockey coach Franchise directly for the beautiful country of Thailand on amazing great Thursday night, February 6th, 2025. Hopefully an amazing great week. We have one more day for finish the week of the February and the weekend of what? The Super Bowl in NFL between the Chiefs and the Eagles. At least I have the two right team. I didn't make any mistake. That's pretty good. Don't forget, we're going to do maybe a show Friday night, the Q&A. Saturday, we're going to do the game between the Montreal Devils. Sunday, we do the game also, Montreal versus Tampa Bay Lightning. Take a note. Both games are at 1 o'clock p.m. Another back-to-back weekend for the Montreal Canadiens. And definitely, when we talk about the notebook, we talk about what? But we talk about a co-host. The co-host is back with me for the notebook, the regular co-host of the season 2024-2025. And I'm talking about, of course, directly from Hawkesbury is back in the house. And he has a day off tomorrow, so he can wait to see with us tonight until 10:30. I'm talking about Marko Larabi is in the house.
Yes, sir. Happy Thursday, everyone. Happy February. Wow, January was long. February already seems like it's been going on forever. Kind of sad in Habsland, coach. Kind of a tough couple weeks. So I'm going to try to stay positive. That's my objective for this week's show. Try to focus on the positive. It's not in my nature, but I'm going to do my best to get everybody's spirits up, and should be a fun show.
It was negative last night. I think we get more negative after midnight in the
That's why.
channel.
That's why I was in the chat for about 20 minutes last night. I was like, all right, I'm going to try to raise everybody's spirits today. I probably won't succeed, but I'm going to try.
But at the end, it's like always the same 4 or 5 people, right? It's more like the one make a bigger negative about everything. But
Yeah.
we have
Fire
a
St.
couple of
Louis.
things to talk about. Of course, Montreal Canadiens, the recap game. What happening for the last two games for the Montreal on the West Coast, the San Jose Sharks game, and of course, yes, night again, the Kings. A couple of things about the Montreal game to talk about. And of course, the subject of the night, Marco, it will be the, if I can find it, I apologize. A trade or not? You have a rumor between the Buffalo Sabres and the Montreal Canadiens. In fact, maybe Montreal is one of the five teams are in the race, maybe to get Dylan Cozens. And we're going to talk about that. But also, I'm going to bring you, Marco, other rumor from Montreal Canadiens, or maybe prospect, maybe we should target or something. Montreal could look about this. So I think it will be a good opportunity tonight to talk about this situation for the Montreal Canadiens. And of course, what other things to talk about for Montreal. Just stay with us until to the end. We have the clash at the end. And we have a special question for Marco Larabi at the end of the clash. So we'll see if he's going to give us the right answer. I'm going to tell you next week if he was right or wrong. Anyhow, we have a couple of people knock the door. We have Slicky, no 14 is in the house. Welcome back. LDB talk
Hey,
about his Buffalo Sabres and and everything about that team. Definitely going to talk about this the very shortly. LDP. I like your comments about what's going on around the team. Sentiment is announced. Welcome back. Talking about the game between the 1-1 USA and Canada. RJ Garbo is going to give us everything about what happening for the Montreal Canadiens and the NHL news tonight and all the outcome of the game. We have already 9 games tonight in NHL. Some teams are in the race and the mix of the Eastern Conference. Going to follow up at this in the next couple of minutes. Of course, Doc Energy back in the house. We didn't use Doc the last couple of days. Welcome back. GF is back in the house. Welcome, Mr. GF. What about Abination? Abination back in the house. Honestly, we just seen the last couple of days also with Doc. Abination, hopefully you're doing well. Then we have Mr. Nortap, moderator, back in the house. Mr. Nortap, take a day off last night. Hopefully you feel better. And you're ready to rock and roll. RJ has already put all the game on the board. Excellent, RJ. Alain Vianco with Irene. Back in the house. I think he said it was raining a lot in Kentucky the last couple of nights. And Pizza back in the house also. Welcome back, Pizza. Claude Richard. I don't think so. We see Claude Richard. So we have a few people they don't watch the game at 10:30 p.m. They just, we have to wait. Maybe he watch, but he don't talk in the chat. So, Claude, welcome back in the house. The best driver UPS is back also with us, Gary Cornoy, the most positive guy about the Montreal Canadiens with Larry Lavallée. Welcome back. Mr. Z back in the house also. Mr. Z is a new subscriber, Marco, in the last
Nice.
couple of days. So welcome in
Welcome,
the
buddy.
family, Mr. Z. Thanks to be with a part of the show tonight. Alain Verco again. Alex K back in the house from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Alex, hopefully doing well. How's the weather over there in New Mexico? Tony Radin back in the house, Mr. Marco. Tony Radin. Always a pleasure having him with us. Every time I see his name, I'm talking about Jeff Radin, the pitcher, the really world pitcher for the Montreal Canadiens. Puis c'est Martin Birin, espérant confirmer ma move 5 events, trade, rest, UFA, trade, new hook, Doc, exciting time. Let's can cook everything for pizza. Hopefully, some of you move, you predict what's happening for the Montreal again. So we got everybody. Thanks for being part of the show. Don't forget, please, to click on the like and subscribe. You know what this works. That's happening for right now. And Marco, we'll talk about what we do at the beginning. Um, we're going to do only one part of the NHL, not many news. Now the NHL switched more on the Four Nation mode, honestly. It's getting more and more. And the NHL, not many news around around the injury, return of that. Yeah, only signature of the Vancouver Canucks, Marcus Peterson, 5.5. Are you surprised about
Yeah.
that?
Well, well, first of all, like they paid a lot for him, right? Like that first round pick that they got from the Rangers, that was a very valuable pick because it's protected for this year, and then next year there's no protection on it. So they didn't waste any time moving that pick for Marcus Pettersson. So it's not surprising that they moved quickly also to sign him. I don't think it's a bad deal. Like, I think he's a very steady number 4 guy. He's not overly physical. He's not overly offensive, just a stabilizing kind of guy. So for Vancouver, when you have, if you can take away some minute from Hughes, it gets a little bit more like I think Susie was really their top 4 or their second like left-handed guy. So I think it's a good signing for them. Very stable guy. Eventually you'd like to maybe get somebody to replace Myers to really round up the top 4. But no, I think it's a good deal for Vancouver. They paid a lot for him though. That's going to be a good pick. I think Pittsburgh was really happy to get that pick.
Yep, I agree with you about that. The Canucks have a really difficult year, honestly. I team
Yeah.
with the locker room problem. Not only team like the Rangers have some kind
Injury.
of problem in locker room also, but this
Yeah.
is a team where they figure out something like that. If I can recall it, I think Rick Tocchet does not have contract next year.
A lot of unanswered questions in Vancouver, coach. Yeah, Rick Tocchet. You have Brock Besser that's going to be a UFA as well. So lots like that team could look very different, right? Like if you're Rick Tocchet, you're probably just waiting to see how things unfold a little bit. You're not sure. Like again, we don't know what it's like in the dressing room, right? But we know that dressing room was very much 50-50 team Pettersson versus team Miller, right? So there's a lot of players that are not maybe super happy that the team decided to move Miller instead of Pettersson because Miller is a gamer, right? And say what you want about somebody who might be a little hardcore in the dressing room, but if you look at Pettersson, like Elias Peterson, he has not produced very well since he signed that big contract. So lots of like it's so crazy how 1 year can change so much, right? Like Vancouver seemed like such a good story. Everything was kind of going perfect for them last year, but this year you got injuries to Demko. Now you got Hughes out. You got this massive drama. You got UFAs. You're not sure your coach is going to be there. We should have our collaborator Will, who's really follows closely the Vancouver Canucks. It'd be
Yeah,
interesting to get a perspective from somebody from out west that watches the team closely. But feel bad for those fans, like they waited so long to get a good team, and it didn't. Their peak did not last very long, coach. Not long at all.
we'll see how they're going to respond for the rest of the season. They still fight for the playoff spot with Calgary Flame.
Yeah.
We'll see what's happening. So what we do at the show or the notebook, me and Marco, and we do the headlines. So we're going to go that direction for the beginning of the show. And for the headline, Marco, you are the first one, like we do usually every time, and you are for your headline is.
Reasons to be optimistic. Like I said, guys, like I took the temperature in the chat yesterday, and it's been pretty dark, right? Like I think overall, we came into the season, they had a terrible, terrible start, and then they just go on this magical, magical run, in really as even going back to like November, right? They were just playing really well. Maybe they weren't winning to the same level that they were in December, but going back to like mid-November, they were playing really well. Then December and early January, everything is just clicking, and it just changed all of our mindsets a little bit, right? Like when you see the team that you follow creep into a playoff spot, like actually holding a playoff spot after so many years of not doing so, it changes your mindset. And so I'm not surprised that people are, a little upset right now and a little disappointed. So I get it, right? So what I would do though is I just want to kind of put things in perspective. I just did like just a little bit of digging, just to kind of give us a little bit of perspective, right? So Montreal right now has played 54 games this year. I guess I should have sent you this information, Coach. We could have done some graphs, but I didn't have time. So far this year, they've played 54 games. They have a record of 25, 24, and 5. So they're one game above 500, 55 points. If you look last year after 54 games, they were already 7 games under 500. They were 20, 27, and 7 with 47 points. They had I think 7 goals for less, and they had 7 goals against more. So just in terms of like wins and losses and points, in terms of where we're at year over year after 54 games, that's pretty good. I remember I asked you a couple of weeks ago, like, what was Montreal around Christmas? They were 500, and then they really, really kind of took a nosedive pretty quick, and they were and then they were 7 games under 500. So still over 500. So if you're just looking at progress, and you're looking at kind of year over year, that's looking pretty good. And then, in terms of Coach, we looked at it at the beginning of the year. We knew that the goals against was going to have to come down. I think if you take out the big blowouts, I think for the most part, there's that stretch where they played really well defensively. So we've learned that they can play well defensively. We know that Martin Saint-Louis' system can work. Now, it really depends on the players and if they're able to do the reads that they need to do within the system. So right now, I think that's kind of the big problem, and we'll talk about kind of what's been going on in the last while. But overall, I think the goals against are down, and if you take away those big blowouts, I think it would be even a bit better. And if you look at the top players, like Nick Suzuki's season, so last year, he was at, if you look at his kind of points per game, is at 0.94, so just under a point per game. A lot of times during this season, he's been over a point a game. Right now, he's just slightly under a point a game. So you could, slight improvement, I would say, for Suzuki, maybe a little bit down on the goal scoring. But overall, I think he's played better defensively. So really, really good numbers there. Where things really kind of jump off the page, though, is Caulfield, Coach. If you look at Caulfield's year so far, year over year, it's pretty crazy. Like after 54 games last year, he was averaging 0.57 points per game after 54 games. This year, he's a point per game at 0.80 points per game. So all the work, and we've talked about it on the show here, all the work that he put in to become more a complete player, and he's only 2 goals behind his career high. He's got 26 goals, and his career high that he got last year is 28. So listen, and we can talk about a lot of other things, like those are kind of like really some key ones. But the penalty kill, the power play has been a bit better. It's been better at times. It's been struggling a little bit. And then there's a lot of other good stories, right? Like Jack Eye has seen a lot of improvement. So whether it's on the team side or whether it's on the individual side, there's some good progress here, right? And we've talked about it, a lot. Like the real objective this year was to get information or get answers on some key things, right? So we're getting some answers. Montreal's, we would have liked this to happen a bit later, like for them to play important games in March. But they have been playing important games, and we're learning which players are going to react well and which players aren't going to react well to playing those games, right? So And then we haven't talked about Demidov. We haven't talked about Fowler. We haven't talked about Beck, who just recently came up having a really good season in Laval. So listen, guys, we talk about these things, but it's easy to get swept into when the team's not playing well. And I know it's frustrating, but there's still a lot to be optimistic. Like this is just really the tip of the iceberg. All their really, really key assets here are not where they're going to be. Even Slavkovsky, if you look at his point per game, it's a bit down right now, a little bit lower year over year at this point. He's trending to be a little bit lower. But that happens, guys. It's a young player. So I think overall, there's still a lot to be really, really encouraged about, Coach. So I just want to take a minute to put things in perspective. Last year, they were 7 games under 500 at this point. So I think we've had some really fun stretches as fans to watch. And, for those who are a little bit more analytical and kind of look at the big picture, I think we're all still pretty encouraged. Like the most experts around the league, when Montreal was in that race, are like, it's exciting for them, but I think they're a year early, right? And I think they're right. So hopefully they can turn it around and stay in the mix. Kind of, I think it would be fun for all of us if that's the case. But I just wanted to kind of put that out there. Are your thoughts like, is that surprising? Like, that if you look at the record year over year, like I didn't know there were that. I didn't know there were 7 games under 500 at this point last year. So, what are your thoughts?
I would consider with the optimistic. When you talk about optimistic, you talk about like you evaluate players, you take progression players. I think one thing for the Montreal Canadiens, uh, when I see progression for Montreal Canadiens, I see they have some answer. Does it make sense? Like it's the year of
Yeah.
evaluate, and now is getting answer of what they are looking for, and those answer will make the Montreal Canadiens to make some other decision. But I think that for me, is a progression. Montreal is getting now close of what they expect for what the vision, and I think that will be looking good. I keep my headline on the same way like you did, Marco, and I want consider what you talk about, and I want to bring mine, and I want to talk about Evan Demidov, the best prospect for the Montreal Canadiens, and the Athletic did the report of the best prospect in NHL for the NHL team. In Montreal now are number 3, and that report for Athletic by Scott Wheeler. And he make all his front players like one by one for the Montreal Canadiens. Like Demidov is the number 1. And I think for me, I want to talk about specific about even Demidov. I think I may be missing a couple of periods for the game of Demidov, honestly, since the beginning of the season, but I really watched 99% of this game. Play again yesterday, got another point and assist at the first period. SK won by the score 4-2. He played on the third line yesterday. But the big champ for me, Marco, is Rottenberg have a little bit more confidence about Demidov. Whatever he started the third line, second line, or first line, he played now on average on 18 minutes to 19 minutes per game. He did again 1957 yesterday. Got an assist, couple of opportunities yesterday, but less like we expect for Demidov. But overall, for me, Demidov is really the optimist for me for the Montreal Canadiens. It's
Yeah.
not going to be, listen, the pronostic, the data analytic, the people called expert, usually they report and they consider now Demidov to the mega star
Uh,
in Montreal Canadiens, Saint Guy Lafleur.
yeah. I think.
You never know what
Yeah.
could happen, Marco. But for me, you talk about optimist. For me, I really believe in that. I believe when I see Laine, I believe what I see with Jacob Fuller. I still believe at least David Rebecca will be a second pairing for the Montreal Canadiens, a plus. And now I believe Demidov is going to be the mega star for the Montreal they never have before. If the fans are excited about Cole Caulfield, they got excited now about Lane, you're going to be more excited about even Demidov. No doubt in my mind that that kid is going to be the mega star. He's going to transform the Montreal Canadiens, and I was not sure how I can see this to you, Marco, tonight. When I said that, the fact like Marco is like, is it going to push the rebuild quicker or faster? Does it make sense? Like, can he
Yeah.
bring that dimension for Montreal Canadiens? No, don't expect like a 80 point next season, right? but he could be at the same number like Silly Brunet and Connor Bedard. That's how I feel about Demidov. Now, the Montreal Canadiens, they depend how you go to play with. That'll be another point. But again, Demidov is going to change the transformation of Montreal Canadiens. So, still the optimist. This is the reason I put that one. Marco, I think, how you feel about that?
Coach, like it's for sure. It's you have so many Habs fans that are doing like you're doing and like watching SKA games online. Like in the morning, in the background. So it shows you how excited people are, right? And with good reason. Like the guy, in my opinion, is the best forward, arguably best skater playing outside of the NHL right now, right? So that's a lot to be excited about. If you look at, he just broke Kaprasov's record, like maybe like not point per game, but very close. And if you look at kind of the minutes per game that he was playing, then it's, it's pretty much a tie, right? So, listen, you have to be careful in how you project, who this player is going to be. But an easy, obvious one is like, Kaprasov, right? So if Montreal has like a Kaprasov like player on their hands, you're right that it will have an immediate impact on the season next year. Like we said, like, we obviously Laine has been struggling right now, but you can see what happens when you add one player to your top six. It just immediately slots everybody down a chair, right? Puts a new hook on the third line and things like that, right? So it automatically makes your team deeper. It automatically makes your team much, much better, right? So there's no question that he's going to, have an impact next year. We'll have to see, kind of. I think it's great that he's playing against men in the KHL this year. We'll see what the adaptation is for him. One thing with Demidov, I wonder if they're going to bring another Russian player maybe to kind of help his adaptation a little bit in Montreal. That wouldn't be a bad idea. But or maybe not a player, but at least maybe like somebody in the entourage of the team to other than Bobroff, who is probably on the road a lot, but somebody close to the team that can kind of be around to help him with the adaptation. It's a big change, like especially Russia's. If Russia's a culture shock before with everything that's happening with geopolitics right now, it's very insular, right? It doesn't have a lot of connection with the rest of the world and everything else. So it's going to be a big culture shock for him. So Montreal does a great job of surrounding and developing, right? So you're right, Coach. Like with between him, Fowler, and you have Michael Hage, that's doing well. Arguably some of the best prospects that Montreal's picked so far in their rebuild aren't even in their like they're not even signed yet, right? Like Hage is not signed, Fowler's not signed, and Demidov's not signed. So we're already seeing some really really good signals this year. With the players that they're already integrating. So the best is yet to come. So I'm glad they were able to combine our efforts together and create a positive sandwich for everyone. And I don't know, it's going to be impossible to be 100% positive because it's going to be, there's going to be some tough things to talk about on the show because they're not playing super well right now. But I'm glad that we were able to start the show with that kind of outlook for sure.
I'm going to give you some question. Chris is back in the house. Welcome back, Chris. Simon Levin is in the house. A2 knocked the door. Hopefully you're doing well. I agree about A2. He's mature, speak English. He's very good, very smart. Good family, by the way, the Demidov family. Simon Levin, Saint Element got hurt. The team has been losing more those that mean he is very valuable to the team. What the impact of Emil Element for the Montreal Canadiens? Marco?
I kind of froze there. Can you
Yeah,
hear me?
yeah,
Okay.
you're
Yeah.
back.
So I got the first part of the question. So how important is Heineman and the impact that he's had since he's been injured? So for sure, like, Heineman, I think surprised all of us how impactful he was on that fourth line this year and being on the second unit power play. I was starting to kind of doubt him. Like I just didn't really have too much of an impact when he came up in previous, didn't really do super well in previous training camps. So just an amazing, surprise, to be honest, like a bonus, right? So I think for sure, like I was just saying about when you add a player to your top six and it creates depth. Well, when you remove a player, then it tests your depth, right? So you can definitely double guess a little bit here, kind of how Montreal's managed it, because I think, and Intertap and I have talked about this on and off in different shows, but in my view, the reason Montreal was so successful during the holidays and all that, and with the really hard schedule they had, is they're rolling four lines continuously, right? And you're able to keep your energy up because you're not overtaxing certain guys. So, there was, as soon as Heineman got hurt, for whatever reason, they decided to not call up someone right away, and give him a real chance to kind of go in and keep that going for at least I'd say 5 to 7 games. They were kind of like having Suzuki or Caulfield or another player come in and double shift, right? Now you can do that for 2 or 3 games and it's not a big deal. But when you start doing it over, like, 5, 10, 15 games, it's going to start taking away your ability to have as much energy and to have the same cohesiveness that you had before. So say what you will, like obviously Pizzetta, they I guess they felt that they owed him an opportunity to come in and do that. He was a good soldier, stayed around, didn't complain. He's a great teammate. Give him an opportunity to come up and impact the team, but it was clear right away that he wasn't able to do that. But then, like, it was weird. They, why didn't they call RHP right away, or why didn't they call Davidson, or why didn't they call Beck right away? It seems like they've been tiptoeing around it, and they didn't really dedicate a lot of thought to it. Like, say what you want. Like, it's not like RHP played a bad game. Like, you don't think RHP could be playing 8 minutes, 10 minutes a game, just making sure that fourth line keeps coming out, or they didn't really give Beck too much of an opportunity, only 2 games. So I think that's a lot to do with it. So it was impactful because Heineken was playing so well, but even more impactful is that it switched up Montreal's ability to spread out the ice time, especially in the year where there's a Four Nations tournament and there's such a condensed schedule. I think was a really big advantage because, Coach, we've talked about it from the beginning of the year. That was the one advantage Montreal had, is they have, like, probably when they're healthy, they had one of the best bottom six in the NHL. So if you're not going to play them evenly, then it kind of takes away that advantage.
Well said, well done about that, about element. We know the impact. I think affect more the full line, right? The opportunity, the full line is not the same.
Mm.
And from Pesada to Beck, HP, and they try to find the fix, the mix, the best. But I think it not only impact the full line, the roll of the line, the rolling line, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we'll see when element be back. You should be back anyway after the tournament of the Four
Yeah.
Nations. So what's happening?
Yeah.
Gold M, I answer your question in the chat. Gary Butch, you have question going to answer to you. We have subject about that, and also same for Simon 11. Your first question is going to be answered in the next couple of minutes, so don't go nowhere. We're going to give you everything about that. So we appreciate a lot. We want to talk about the Montreal Canadiens, about the recap game between the Montreal, the San Jose Sharks, and the Los Angeles Kings. We're going to do an overview of both games, honestly. And you can see there, Montreal went by a score 4-3, lost by a score 6-3 yesterday. We have Montebo versus Dobes. Between the goal, between Pipe, the Ottawa, no, it was 2-1. Is a replay. Beck and Mailloux was in last night. Beck played 2 games. We have some kind of change by Martin St. Louis happening. We have a good performance overall for Anderson, Devorak, and Duhook, in my opinion. The duo even a meilleur considered performing on the PK. But Martin St. Louis talked last night about too many passengers, and he talked about the auto-evaluation of the players. How they see themselves after the game, how they evaluate themselves. And a bit like we said, you have to look at the mirror yourself, to see what you look like. And then Montreal, again, the last 12 game are catch-up hockey. So when catch-up hockey, guys, I'm talking about the scoreboard. They never lead a lot than the last 12 games. That's the reason is a catch-up hockey. It's not the same way when Marco you lead by 1 goal or by 2 goals, or compare if you trail by 1 goal to 2 goals, or you tie the game. So it's not the same kind of hockey you play. You take a little bit more chance or anything like that. So anyway, just a little bit what happening between both games. So you can give a little bit an overview of what you feel about that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we'll start with the San Jose game, right? Like, ultimately, I think it was the first game where San Luis decided, I think, to change things around a little bit after what we saw Laine kind of, get benched in that final period in Anaheim. So he kind of changed things up and had him playing with Evans. Overall, I think it was an interesting solution. I think it helped. I think Laine did get better touches in that game. I did like kind of what I saw with Anderson, with Newhook, and with Doc. He just brought that speed, and so overall, I think that San Jose game, they did miss a lot of chances, but again, like a lot of mistakes, similar things, coach, like you said, like just not gelling the way that they have been before. Like this whole road trip here, they're not there yet. Like they're not playing the connected hockey that we saw before, right? So I think it was a smart move to kind of inject Mailloux and Beck into the lineup. Like sometimes when teams are lagging a little bit, you can inject a little bit of energy. For the most part, I think other than the first goal where Mailloux lost his guy and had to hook him for the penalty shot, I think Mailloux showed pretty well. I definitely watching him in Laval this year, I wasn't 100% in favor of bringing him up yet. Like I still think that there's a lot of deficiencies in his defensive game, but there's no doubting his shot, right? Like man, he can rip it. So it was nice to see him. For me, we'll probably go into kind of like who stood out and kind of like and all that. So I'll save those kinds of questions. But I think St. Louis is right. At the end of the day, like all the teams right now in the NHL have the same condensed schedule. So you can't use that as an excuse, coach. A lot of teams have injuries, and you just kind of have to find a way to keep going, right? So, like we talked about, this is a great opportunity for Kent Hughes and Jeff Gordon and Martin St. Louis to kind of see who responds well to the adversity here, during these games. And I think Martin St. Louis talks about that a lot, right? Like being able to auto evaluate. And there's some guys that really need to do that. Like one of them being Uri Slafkovsky definitely needs to self-evaluate, kind of how he's playing right now. Still lots of like high danger passes right through the middle of the ice, not winning board battles. Obviously there's some confidence issues. I can live with those, right? Like there was that play where he had the opportunity to shoot, but he over hesitated. I'm fine with that, right? Like those things happen in terms of confidence, but in terms of moving your feet, not making dangerous plays, those are things that I think have less to do with confidence and just more with effort and concentration. So there's a lot of players right now, that because and coach, like overall, I think the big thing that we're seeing here is that Martin St. Louis talks a lot about the forecheck, right? And if you look at Montreal Ozo time right now, they spend almost no time in the offensive zone, which puts so much pressure again on them running around in their own zone. We're kind of seeing early November Montreal Canadiens because they're spent like the shots per game are going up because they're spending more time in their zone. And the reason for that is they're just not establishing their offense in the offensive zone, right? They're not setting up their forecheck. So, ultimately they found a way to kind of dig out a win, in San Jose, and they should have. You have to. It's the worst team in the league, but that was a pretty close game, probably closer than it should have been, right? So, yeah, I think your summary here kind of encapsulates most of it. And I think Montreal right now they just really need to me at this point it's less about wins and losses. I just want to start to see them play the right way again, coach. Like there was parts in early December where they weren't winning like every game, and we don't expect them to win every game, but they were in every game and they were playing the right way. And that's what the biggest concern for me is that Martin St. Louis talks about a lot about this. Like Montreal set a new standard for itself, in terms of how they want to play and a new brand of what they can do. And I feel like they just haven't been up to that. And it's easy to lose those things, coach. It's very fleeting. It's like sand that's slipping through your fingertips, right? Like if you're not careful, you can build a culture and you can build confidence really fast, and you can lose it really fast. So I think it's important for them to get a grip on things here again. They're not going to maybe, kind of win as many games as they did during that stretch where everything was going right for them, but they just really need to get on the right page here and start playing the right way again. And that's all I want to see. I just want to see them, be on the right side of the puck, forecheck, kill plays, before they hit the in the neutral zone, before they get into the zone. Those are the things that were giving them success. So Martin Saint-Louis needs to kind of go back to the drawing board and kind of see what's not computing.
A great resume about the ball game for the Montreal Canadiens. Honestly, it's the team when they have difficulties right now on the defensive zone coverage by different players, and I think Roy make me, make a mistake yesterday. And when I talk about the Los Angeles Kings, like the defensive coverage, the defense, the team is good. And they asked me what the reason behind that, and I said, look, the goalie is good, but it's not great. But Quimper have a good number, 2.16, right? If
Yeah.
you look about the defensemen, they play all year long without Dottie, right? But they have Clark, they have Kavrikov. I think he's underrated defenseman. You have
Yeah.
Edmondson over there. They have Spence. They have Montever and Edmondson. When you look about this, you look at the core of
Spencer
the
and Spencer.
defenseman, Marco. It's good, but it's not like great. Like this, not like the best defenseman core in NHL. Now Dottie is back, but without Dottie, they don't have like a superstar or a big top number one. But what's the reason? So what I did today, Marco, I want to see the Kings. I see about 10 game, and I took two per month. And the reason where they are is because they don't give a lot of goal. It's because of the defense, because of the forward and the system they play on defensive. So when you talk, Marco, about they play the system, the forward helping so much. Um, Kachuk is hurt, so I
Oh,
apologize right now.
yikes.
He's in pain.
Oh yeah, ouch. Ooh boy. They have Ottawa starting to get really clobbered by injuries. I like Pinto's not playing
Oh,
tonight.
he loses his edge and he hit the
It looks
board from the back.
that's not
Not
yikes.
looking good.
Tough kid. Yeah, it's not good. No, you're right, coach. Like
So I
we've had this
apologize.
debate
Just
a
don't
lot.
finish my point.
Yeah,
So the forward make an impact on the defensive zone coverage. Like the chemistry is so good. When you have Kopitar and Danu right away there, the two center, that's help. Of course, the team, but they really have a good system for that protection, and they don't give a lot of goal again. Yes, Quimper does a good job. The defenseman good job, but I think the forward executes so good, and that's make difficult to score against the Los Angeles Kings. So Roy was right about that, and I think the Montreal they were doing well. Like you just mentioned, the forward was helping a lot the defensemen also at the same time, and the
yeah.
execution was better.
It's all part of the same machine. Like a machine doesn't work if all the parts are not working properly, right? If part of the machine isn't doing its job, the machine is going to malfunction, right? So we've had this debate a lot, coach, about and you can look at all kinds of different teams. You could talk about the Flyers last year for a lot of the year. You could talk about Minnesota this year. You can talk a lot of teams that they probably play better and they have better results than they should in terms of talent on the ice because they play as a team. And that's what if Montreal is going to have success because of where they're at right now. Like again, we have like we talked about a lot of young talent coming into the pipeline and everything else. Like I think they have a competitive lineup, but in order to like make the playoffs and be in the top 16 in the league, you have to play as a team. And because Montreal doesn't have any superstars, right? So you're not going to have somebody carry you any given night. You're going to need effort from everyone. You need to everybody to kind of support each other and play as a unit. And Martin Saint-Louis talks about all the time, like they're connected. When they play connected, that's when they have success. And that's like a team like LA, like they're I think they're the fourth lowest scoring team in the NHL, right? So you just find ways to win. And that's why I don't like I just said in my preamble, coaches, everybody has a tough schedule. So I don't buy the thing where Montreal is tired because of their schedule. Everybody's tired. Everybody's played way more games than they should because of the break, right? And then injuries, same thing. Like you just have to kind of find a way. Like it's next man up. So but again, like that's what we're learning, right? We're learning some players are going to fit into what we want to do, and you know we'll see. It's still not the end of the season, so we're still evaluating, right? But there's no reason why Montreal shouldn't be. I didn't expect them to win, 7 out of every 10 games that they play till the end of the season, but there's no reason why they should be 3-7 in their last 10 either, right? So
It's more
yeah,
about the way they play, right? I think that's for me. Yes, the outcome is not good, but I think the way they play is not the same they was before, and they proved it before. So we'll see. But again, at one piece of that, we'll talk about this next couple of minutes. So if I ask you about you stood out player, obscure, and office, I think let's go with the Kings. The game for the Kings only last
sure.
night.
Yeah, so it's a tough one. I guess I'll say for me, I'm gonna say stood out. Just I'm gonna say Josh Anderson. Like I know he probably people would say obscure, but to me he stood out just because of how not just the way that he played, but there was a couple of things that he did that I just felt showed a lot of leadership on the ice. I don't know, coach, if you remember, but there's this one play where he got nailed into the boards, like as a really, really strong hit. And then I think it was Doc and maybe like another player that started like pushing the guy, and he got up right away and he stopped his teammates from taking a stupid penalty, right? Just little things like that on the ice. I'm just seeing him like not only has he been playing much better in that he has a specific role on the team this year, but I find like we've heard about how Anderson was really well respected in the room and he was a really good leader. But I'm starting to see it more and more this year, right? Like we know he's playing injured. We know that he's like every time he gets hit, like it's a really really tough for him to kind of get back up right now. So to me, I know he didn't get any points or anything like that, but to me, he stood out just because of how hard he's playing. He's playing the right way. Really kind of added some energy to that new hook line with Doc. So to me, he stood out for all the reasons maybe that don't show up on the score sheet, but to me that means a lot. Those are the kind of things that turns these really bad stretches that you have around, right? So yeah, good for him. Obscure, uh, that's a tough one this week, coach. Like, geez, I'm gonna, I guess you can say, shit, man, it's hard. Like there's not really like because you don't have other than the guy I just mentioned. There's not a lot of guys grinding and like you can say Evans, right? Like Evans, like I'll just say that to me that the three guys that played well in the last few games would be Armia, Evans, and Anderson. Like those guys, you can't reproach anything in their game. So choose who you want. To me, those are the three players that I felt played really well. To the office, oh man, there's several here, coach. It's got to be Slav though. Honestly, it's got to be Slav again. Unfortunately, just because of the fact that again, like I don't know if you're seeing the same thing that I am, but man, those cross ice passes, like when he's trying to when he's at the blue line in his defensive zone and the defense is trying to chip it out and he's trying to kind of get the puck out, he's always choosing super super high danger options, right? Like so it's really really problematic. There's I think there was two times the first goal against, like he was right in front of the net, the puck was at his feet, and instead of boxing guys out, he just kind of like kicked the puck ahead, and it resulted in the first goal. And it almost happened again later in the same period. Like it was weird. He was in the house, like right in front of the net, instead of covering his point man. And if you're going to be there, then move some bodies around Slav, but he's just standing there and the puck's in his feet and like the player's just kind of scooping it out of like, it just amazes me. I would love for like, what would be cool, coach? Hudson should coach Slav on how to win board battles, how to position your stick, how to position your body. Like if Slav had the same uh, competitiveness as Hudson in terms of winning puck battles, imagine what kind of monster he would be, right? So, yeah. So he needs to come in and he needs to have a chat with, like, listen, we understand that production is going to go up and down, and we understand that you might have confidence. We're going to continue to work with you to get your confidence up, what to do with your touches and everything else. But there's some non-negotiables, right? Non-negotiables are when you're, and it sucks because I know Martin Saint-Louis doesn't want to limit his players' ability to do reads, but Slafkovsky needs a little bit more direction right now, I think, for that. So I think it's time for St. Louis to establish some non-negotiables if he hasn't already with Slafkovsky, because I'm concerned it's not just a stretch of games, coach. Like, it's a lot of games this season, and I'm really concerned about some of the bad habits. Yeah. So again, I'm not giving up on Slav. I still think he's going to be a great player, but you need to kind of like address these things pretty early on, and like I said, set some non-negotiables with him so that Martin Saint-Louis, he knows what Saint-Louis expects from him and things that the team aren't going to accept. So that's who I'd have in the office.
Stood out. I'm going surprised. He too is not agree with me. But I'll go with Alex Newhook for me.
Yeah.
Alex Newhook played a good game yesterday. He was the fastest player. He was chasing the puck. He was puck retrieval. I have 2 assists on that one, bring the puck there. So I think for me, Alex Newhook, obviously, um, for
His
my
hands.
obscure, I go with I would give to Owen Beck. Now I agree with A2 about that. I think Owen Beck, for what he bring on the table yesterday, really good game for me. No point, but I think he bring another dimension on that line. And then office, I have to go with Patrick Laine on that one. And I think that's I'm going to talk about him the next couple of minutes. I don't want to go deep about that, but it'll be my 3 selection of that on that categories for the Montreal Canadiens versus them. Here we go. Going to go rapido about what we're going to talk about this. Thank you, everybody, to be part of the show. Many people show up a little bit late tonight, Marco. So welcome all of you. Don't forget, please to subscribe. Click on the like. If you have any question, please let me know. That'd be great to hear from what. Because he finally on the right chair, coach, the right player with him. You're right about this, Mark. I agree with you. Here we go. The Montreal Canadiens, we talk about Eneman, but I think the missing piece for me is Gaiden Coley overall for the Montreal Canadiens. And you can see affect the goal again. They still figure out the pairing. Trouble in, Mailloux in, out, everything. It's not the same thing as some players on the right side. I disagree. I think PLW was agree with me about that. That he should play on the left side. Carrier play with a couple of different players beside him. They try to get something. So my point behind that is they're really missing Ken Coley. And his performance on the ice, again, 22 minutes, always again the best player opponent team. They're sharing the minute with other players, defensemen. But how you feel about that? And what you agree or disagree with that?
Well, yeah, like it's hard not to. Like, you can't disagree that they're going to miss Caden Gooley, right? But like I was saying, I don't think they should use it as an excuse as to how they're playing, because the reason that they're not defending well is because they're spending way too much time in their zone. And the reason that they're spending too much time in their zone, like Sandy Louis talked about all year, is they're not spending any time in the offensive zone. So as a team, coach, like, there's points of time, like if you lose somebody in your top 6, then as a team, you need to say, okay, listen, like it's next man up. We're going to need to tighten things up a little bit here because we're going to be winning. We're going to be playing some tighter games, right? So if you're missing one of your top 4 defensemen and you don't want to be defending as much, that means you have to figure out ways to, again, like go back to what you were doing well, killing plays at your defensive blue line, and don't let teams come into the zone and set up shop where you're now getting kind of like them cycling the puck for like two minutes at a time. Got to find a way to get your forecheck game back and establish yourself in the offensive zone. So yes, they're missing Caden Gooley. Their PK has still been good. You know, like Jackie's done a good job coming in, backfilling for him. So that's good. You know, like we talked, Coach, about you're trying to get answers on things. So we're getting some answers on Jackie. I felt they pulled the plug on him pretty quick, having him play in the top four. Like, I guess they really want him with Savard, and I get it. That worked really well. But again, Coach, this is an opportunity to learn what you have. And Jackie did have one mistake, you know, that he had. He had a couple turnovers, but like let him play in the top four for now. He's doing good on the PK. Their percentage is still really good over the games that Gooley's been gone. So listen, yeah, of course they're going to miss somebody like that, but it's no excuse. Like they need to figure out, they need to compensate for it in other ways. You know, like you're not going to be able to defend down low and as well as you were before. So you need to figure out ways to kind of do it differently. So yeah, it's too bad. You know, like hopefully, and the news, I guess, for him is that they're going to wait till after the Four Nations to understand whether they're going to shut him down completely. They just want to make sure that he doesn't get an infection after his surgery and everything. So, you know, if I was a betting guy, you know, maybe he comes in and plays a couple games at the end of the season, but you're going to have to finish the season probably without him, Coach. So you got to find a way. Great opportunity for somebody else to step up, and the team just needs to adapt. Like St. Louis says, like the league goes on. The league, nobody feels bad for them, right? So you need to figure out a way.
But
And
again, that's proof to think for me is like when you rebuild team, you don't have a lot of debt, right? The debt is not good. It's not like another team, like a top team. You're missing one player, you can pick it up someone behind that, right?
I don't
Uh,
think anybody in the NHL has, like, that's the thing. Teams are so top heavy now, Coach. Like if you
I look
lose
the
your
Panthers,
top,
right? You missing Barkov, you have Lundell, like you have Bennett.
yeah,
You have more deep the team. Montreal is really not like you're missing right now at top six. You can see the Kachuk back in the game, so it's pretty good.
okay, that's good.
If you see the top six, Marco, and you're missing example like Caulfield,
Yeah,
we have to go with Anderson, Armia, that we don't have those kind of the top six. I know top
yeah.
six is hard, but
Yeah.
I go say Coley, the top defenseman when
Well,
Montreal at least for the first pairing, right? And
yeah.
you
Well,
remove him.
we're talking about defenseman, right? So if Tampa Bay loses Victor Hedman, you know, if like there's not a lot of teams that can replace their like their number one defenseman, right? So again, not many teams have that kind of depth. So, but what good teams do is that they adapt. They figure out, okay, so if we're not going to be able to play this guy 26 minutes a game anymore again, so we're going to have to figure out a different way. Like, does that mean we have to be more aggressive? Like I said, like killing plays before they go in the zone. How can we do that as a team, as a collection of guys? How do we come up with a plan that's going to limit our weaknesses now that we're missing this piece, right? So you got to find a way. Like I
But
get it,
between
but like
that, I would say go Marco. The skill talent Tampa Bay or
yeah,
Florida is better at what Montreal is. So when you miss a big piece of the puzzle or the wheel of the Montreal, it's harder to take a spot back at the team are more depth. That's my point behind that. Until Montreal Canadiens have a better skill wise players, I think that will helping them when they're missing one specific player for the Montreal Canadiens. But an impact like Kaden Coley or an impact Edmund is always going to be hard for the team. They have to figure out that. But just for me, the depth is not there yet to have a
I'll
better.
put it to you this way. I'll put it to you this way, Coach. And I'm not discounting what Gooley brings. Like, I know he's an important player. I think it's easier for Montreal to replace Gooley, with like again, it's not going to be the same, right? The impact is going to be less if you lose Gooley versus if you lose Hudson, right? Hudson is
I
irreplaceable. Like
disagree
they
with
don't have
you. You still have Mike Madison.
no,
You
but like he
still have
doesn't
Mike
create.
Madison to carry on the park to get at least to get something moving. We don't have nobody
I,
can shut down anybody like Kaden Cooley. We don't have anyone. We
I
don't
don't.
have.
I don't agree. Mike Matheson does not
Who
create
one can
half
shut
the.
down the player for the Montreal Canadiens first pairing?
I think
Not
again,
Laine,
like you can do.
not Jekai, not Mike Madison,
It's not.
not
But
Carrier,
coach, this is
not
not golf.
Savard.
This is not golf. It's not just one player. You figure out as a team how you're going to play to limit chances, right? Hudson, the thing that he does as an individual, nobody like Matheson. Yeah, he can carry the puck, he can rush the puck, but nobody creates as many high danger chances in the slot. Like I think he's what, top 5 in the NHL. Hudson creating,
Oh yeah, I
scoring
understand that. But at least
chances.
where someone where someone can pick it up, what he can do, he does for the Montreal Canadiens.
Nobody can.
Shut down. We
Nobody
don't have
can.
anybody. We don't have anybody like Kaden Cody. It's
No, but there's other ways to shut down teams. Like, like yes, like okay, you might not have somebody at the same level that can shut
well,
somebody
I
down
will
one.
refer to you. Why the Eneman is out? Why Jake Evans and Amir does not do the same thing anymore?
Well, like I think to me that's a coaching mistake because they decided for whatever reason not to choose somebody from Laval. Choose whoever you want. I was getting a lot of shit for saying RHP, but choose who you want. So whoever you want, bring them up, give him 10 games to play with Jake Evans and Armia, and roll them, roll them, because like those guys, they were changing wingers like they were changing underwear, right? So that's why they're not as productive because like they're treated as a spare part at that point. So to me, that's the reason is like I mentioned when we talked about Heineman. Yes, losing Heineman sucked, but the most impactful part is that we didn't get to play 4 lines anymore, and that was a coaching decision or an organizational decision to do that for whatever reason. You can agree or disagree, but that's the fact. They decided not to assign a player there full time and give him a chance to contribute to that line. So, listen, I agree. I don't want to downplay the fact that it's a huge blow, but all teams have injuries, and I think it's like you have to figure out ways to kind of deal with it. That's just the way I feel.
All right, next one. Montreal Canadiens, Jacob Dobes is struggling. And the last 4 games, he has 1-2-1, 4.00 per game, and a save percentage of 8.64. The honeymoon is over for Dobes. Honestly, the number are there. Performance you can see yesterday. The front between Montebo, I forgot to talk about this earlier. The Montebo make a save against Silibrini, right? The big save to keep Montreal. Then Montreal score on the PK. Yesterday, Tobes should shade the one. The Montreal did 3 times, I believe, come back in the game. By 2 goals, by 1 goal, right? I think the hope was always there. And then boom, another goal, boom, another goal, and then a boom. But the goal against Brent Clark, this is a save he should make it to keep the Montreal in the game, and then maybe
Yeah,
tie the game. And he didn't do it. I think that's the difference between them. But I think right now, Tobias is really the honeymoon is over, and now we can see where the problem what he is right now, and what is the more behind that? What is the more benefit for him? Stay with the Montreal until the end. Do you see something will happening at some point for him with a Laval, or return to Laval and call up Primeau to the rest of the season? How do you see this? How you will manage the situation with Tobias?
well, I might surprise you again here, Coach, but so if you go back, and I think I said this on the show then, and I think it was really only the only people I heard me say this is me and Eric Engels at the time. So everybody was, talking about how he was dominant and how amazing it was and everything else. But if you really look at the games where he, especially those first 5 games where he was, under a goal a game or whatever he was doing, shutouts and all that, Montreal played their best defensive games of their lives, for sure the season, but probably of their lives, right? So to me, what we're seeing is we're seeing Dobesh's performance and his numbers reflect in the overall quality of how well the team is playing too, right? He just isn't being protected anywhere near as well as he was during that first 5-6 games that he was playing. So if you look at kind of how he's playing, the same issues are there. You remember, Coach, when they sent Primeau down and we were debating where they should go find someone or whatever. Our concern for those who have watched him in the AHL, I think he's got a lot of potential. He's very athletic, and he's got pretty good reflexes and everything else. But he's a little overactive in his crease, right? Like, and kind of we saw those 2 goals where he had to move side to side. Teams are going to start reading that a lot, right? Because he's so aggressive. Those two goals were identical from was it Fiala that scored those two goals? Like that looked I thought it was the same goal for a second. I thought maybe I rewinded by accident. Both times they made him move side to side, right? So I don't think there's any rush. Like I don't think you're sending him down. Like I think he's overall, I'd say he gave the team until the third period, he gave the team a chance to win. I agree that there's some goals that he'd want back, but I don't see a better solution right now. And I think, like I just said, if they play better as a team defensively, if they go back to playing even three quarters as well as they did in December and in January in terms of playing well defensively, then they're going to protect him well again, and he'll get a better, better chances to see the puck, better chances to be in position to make the save. So to me, coach, if I had to place the blame on these numbers, I would say it's like 30%, decrease in performance from Dobes, and 70% is on the team performance on why we're seeing these numbers decrease. So I'm not as worried about him and his development and his performance. It's just the team is playing like crap. And it's, we agree, right? Like goals saved above expected is, like you can't just look at goals. You can't just look at goals against average and save percentage, because it doesn't take into consideration the high danger scoring chances that Montreal is giving up right now. So I wouldn't read too much into this. I still think for the most part, he's doing okay. He's doing pretty good. And I think he's benefiting from playing these games. So I would not pull the panic switch on him at all.
For the last couple of games, we see the same Dobes we see in Laval, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes he's unbalanced, sometimes he's out, sometimes he's back. He's
Yeah.
not consistency between that, right? For me, I think for me, for that situation for Montreal Canadiens, first of all, we have a back-to-back game this weekend.
Yeah.
So I think they
Yeah.
could go a little bit later until the trade deadline, but at some point, Tobes should have a need to be back with Laval Rocket, because the Laval Rocket are going to go all the way to the playoff, and you can carry on that on his shoulder. He's going to have really meaningful game. He's going to play 2 games every three game with Laval Rocket, and then after that, you let Primeau there. You're going to see what Primeau he look like, and the way after that, not say going to keep him, but maybe increasing his value a little bit more. But I prefer to have Tobes on the ice constantly with Laval, play with the same chemistry with the player they have. This is a team, and the future is going to be a little bit like Carey Price did when he came with the Hamilton Bulldog in 2005, right? He get that Calder trophy, that trophy,
Yeah.
and I think it's Calder trophy. I think it's Calder Cup, right?
Yeah. It's Calder. Yeah. In the AHL, it's the Calder
So
Trophy.
I think
So
for me, this is the way I see the bear. Not because his performance, but the opportunity he can do with the Laval Rocket. And then with that, I can tell him after that, hey, go get your apartment in September. Don't worry about that. You're going to be with Montreal Canadiens about that. And
yeah.
then Fuller's coming and pick up that job over there. I think
Yeah.
that would the way I see this. When
Yeah.
I don't know the answer, would be interesting if they can, because they can return at Tobesh at the Foundation, right? So by the way, the Foundation, you don't have any freeze in NHL
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
overall.
So
Um,
there's two ways to look at that, right? Like I trust that Montreal will look at, they'll have an opinion as to what is more valuable for him in his development. Is it to stay in the NHL, be around the guys, practice with them, all that stuff, versus go on a run in Laval, right? So you can argue both sides for sure. I won't be mad at it either way. I can see the arguments on both sides. I'll trust the management team, to do the right thing there. Just I saw that I think I forget who it was, but somebody was kind of questioning what I meant when I said that he's too active in his net. I think you know what I mean, Coach, right? Like
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't mean
yeah.
like
Like I said, he
it's
was
not like
everywhere.
yeah, yeah. I don't mean like like it's good for him to go out and play the puck. Like I don't mean going out playing the puck and things like that. What I mean by sometimes remember, like that was Carey Price's biggest superpower, right? He was very quiet in net. It's what they call it, economy of movement. Sometimes when you move around too much, it's not a good thing, right? Like so
Marco,
Dobes,
Askarov is a
yeah,
great example about what you try to explain to the people right now.
yeah,
Askarov
yeah.
I, at the World Championship, the one they participated, the last one for Russia, he was like
He
the
lost
sixth
the stick.
defenseman for the. He was
Yeah,
everywhere. He was. I
yeah,
think also Marco. I apologize, I cut you, but sometimes about Askarov, he was like disturbed by other things and was influenced or disturbed by what's going on around him. Does it make sense?
yeah. Though I remember there's one World Junior coach. I think it was the second time there when Russia was still playing.
Yeah.
There's one game that I saw. He lost his stick 4 times because he was
Yeah, yeah,
swimming
yeah, yeah,
around it.
yeah. Oh,
That's
yeah.
crazy. Like so, yeah. Like
Now, Michael Develry
sometimes,
was said, we did a game and many times with Michael during those time. He was said he's all over the map. And I think that's
yeah,
what is the best description about that. So,
yeah,
would
yeah,
be interesting what happening about this. We just want to mention that. We have to move on with everything we got about this. Talking about Tobesh, we're going to go on that same thing before we talk about the subject of the night, Marco. Uh, Now, Owen Beck and Logan Mailloux, Montreal or Laval, and gave us an evaluation of Logan Mailloux yesterday. His game, I think Owen Beck is easy. Everybody we said he has two great games for Owen Beck, and he's getting a couple of good points. When I said not point on the board on the score sheet, but point as his evaluation, his value with
yeah,
Montreal Canadiens. So this is good news for him. But what do you think about Logan Mailloux yesterday?
yeah. Like I think I mentioned in my recap, right? Like overall, I think he showed pretty well. You know, I'd say the first goal is where the guy got behind him. That's the big thing with Mayu, right? It's reads. You'll see if you watch him closely. Like most people only watch the player when he has the puck, right? But next time you watch Mayu, watch him when he doesn't have the puck. That's where the problem is. Like sometimes he'll skate. Like you remember that time where he skated after Hughes on that 3-on-3, and like he still has moments like that, right? Where he just gets out of position and is puck watching, or he makes bad reads, to be honest, right? So overall last night I felt he controlled that for the most part. Like I think he was pretty disciplined in his game, and I think he showed pretty well. Like again, like when I think it was with Devin here, we are debating what they should do with Mayu. I don't know if it was in our chat or on the show, I can't remember anymore. um the argument I'll make, Coach, is again, if you just look at how he was playing in Laval, I don't think it was a good idea for him to come up, because all the things that made him struggle in the NHL was still happening in the AHL. So based on that, I wasn't super in favor of having him up, right? But I had no objections of them bringing him up for a game or two, because sometimes what happens, Coach, and I think you know this really well, is some players play better in the NHL than they play in the AHL, right? So maybe Mayu is still making all those same mistakes in Laval, but sometimes things just click, right? He comes up and all the coaching finally clicks, and he plays with an NHL caliber defenseman in the NHL, and all of a sudden the reads are better, right? So I don't have any objections, having him come up here and play a couple games. If I had to grade him in his first game, I would give him a B. I think it was pretty good. He's, his nobody can deny his shot. It's is absolutely mental what he can do shooting a puck. But like we know, like the NHL playing hockey is, you only have the puck like 3% of the game, and even less probably as a defenseman. So overall, I think he showed well. I think he certainly, played himself into at least another game or two. I can't lie. I love having one left and one right on every pair. Maybe I'm like I have ACD or ADD, but I like things to have symmetry, right? So I would keep Mayu up, see how he does, and I think you nailed it with Beck, right? Like since I think this is the best we've seen him play at the NHL level since that first training camp that Beck. Remember the first training camp that Beck had, Coach? He was so good. He had everybody thinking that he might even crack the lineup that training camp, or at the very least next year. But then the last couple of training camps, and certainly the first couple of games that he had, it's not that he played bad, but he wasn't super visible out there. But really, really big difference, in the last couple of games that he's played. Physical, separating players from the puck and making passes into the slot. A really nice shot. Like, didn't he hit it? Like he hit a post or, came really close to scoring his first goal. So really like what I'm seeing from Beck. I don't think it's going to be too long, coach, until if he keeps playing like that, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets elevated into the lineup here. Just if Montreal continues to struggle and they're looking for some answers.
Yeah,
ADHD.
I think for me, Mailloux yesterday, it was a little bit too fast for him.
Okay.
I think he need to, to go back to Laval first and then to learning about that. I think Utah just scored a goal.
3-1 Tampa. Okay.
No,
Game
it's two
over
two.
for.
It was the replay. Sometimes I'm watching quickly, and then it was the replay. I apologize for that. Tampa Bay Lightning beat the Ottawa right now 4-1. So another
Yeah.
loss. This is a huge week for the Tampa Bay Lightning over Ottawa Senator. Honestly,
Oh,
they
yeah.
started overtime. By the way, but I just said it was a bit too fast for Mayu. He scored goal. We already know what he can do. But I think at some point he was behind the play a lot because he had no action yet. His reaction was not there. Couple of bad decisions. You need to go back in Laval and then ready to learning about that. Not disagree with you. Maybe keep him a couple of games and then send him down. Consider is learning a progression with the Laval Rocket. So we'll be interesting. We have a lot of people knock the door. Don't forget everybody to click on the like. If not, that'd be great. Um, we have a couple of things to talk about. And first of all, I'm going to talk about the subject of the night. And I had to skip a couple of things. So I don't know if this subject is right here. Here we go. The Habs rumor. And I will talk a little bit more with LDB because LDB is a big fan of the Buffalo Sabres. Dylan Cozens is on the trade bait. He's on the market. Right or
I
no?
don't know about that.
We don't know yet. But at the end of the day, yeah, 5 teams was mentioned by Frank Silverlini about Montreal is one of them. Now, the question, first of all, Marco, is this part. Do you think if Cousin is on the market, like they said, Montreal should trade for him? If yes, the reason behind. If it's no, why also Montreal cannot, you don't want Montreal to trade for him?
Okay. Well, so in my opinion, like from what I've read and heard, I would say Cozens is trade bait or is on the market. It's like I don't think Buffalo is actively looking to trade him. You just have a lot of teams that smell blood in the water and are actively calling them about him, right? So that's different. They're not actively looking to move him. But if Buffalo sees an offer that they can't refuse, then they might be tempted to do that. But they're not actively looking to trade Dylan Cozens, and with good reason, coach, because the last three Stanley Cup champions are littered with former Buffalo Sabres, right? So they're probably a little bit gun shy trading away some of their good young players. But let's assume that there's a universe where they're actively trying to move him, and Kent Hughes is on the phone talking about that. For me, it depends what you have to give up, right? You have to look at it realistically. Buffalo is not looking like they have so much pressure to turn the corner here. They're not looking for futures, right? They're looking for a piece that can come in and help them right away. So I just don't think Montreal is a ideal trading partner for Buffalo because Montreal is not going to want they're not in a position if they're trading anything Montreal, they're trading futures, they're trading draft picks or they're trading prospects. They're not trading part of their young core for Cozens. And let's say you can I saw some I think your thumbnail was Doc and Cozens. I just don't why is Buffalo doing that and why is Montreal doing that? They're both right hand shot centers. You can debate which one has more upside and everything else. Unless you have two teams that are just looking to make a trade to kind of give them fresh starts, but I don't think that's where teams are at, where the teams and players are at. So I just don't see Buffalo and Montreal being good trade partners. If you chose me to, if you asked me to choose if between Cozens and Doc, I would take Cozens, but I just don't see it being a realistic trade at all for Montreal. And on top of that, it's within their division, so I don't think Buffalo would trade them there either. So, the likelihood of this happening, I would say, is very, very, very low. But I don't know. I could be wrong, and nothing's impossible.
Yeah, I think for me, I see this like I go around. So let's talk about the Buffalo Sabres.
Yeah,
They trade in the past Montour, Sam
yeah.
Bennett, Jack Eichel,
Sam
Middlestad,
Reinhart, same
uh,
Reinhart,
Sam
Reinhart,
Reinhart. So all the
Eichel,
them they trade,
Eichel.
they look good somewhere else.
Yeah, well, I just said, Coach.
When they
Like,
going to learn, Marco?
yeah,
So wait a minute. Every time we trade a good player here,
he goes wins
we
the
draft
Stanley
him
Cup.
high and he goes somewhere else, he perform. So maybe it's
Yeah,
inside of the Buffalo Sabre. They need to look and say, wait a minute. And I think for me, Marco, Buffalo, the culture is not there. The culture of this team is really bad. See what happened with Tage Thompson during the week last week or a couple of days
yeah,
ago, right? No reaction, everything like that. Second
yeah,
thing, they need to clean up the house. When I said that, they need really a good hockey director general or vice president or president to make that team another way. Because right now they do the same thing. It looks like it's about the family. Like if you play with Buffalo Sabres, you're going to get a job in the management or you get a job behind the bench. You're going to be part of this part. The role. Why they hire again Lindy Ruff last year,
crazy,
right?
crazy.
Again, it's the
Yeah,
same will every year. So for me now, they have a guy like Dylan Cousin. You don't give up. Keep him. We'll see about
no,
that. Now, Montreal Canadiens, guys, why are you going to get a guy at $7.1 million over Kirby Dak only at 3.4? Right there, it's just no sense for me. Secondly, Buffalo will be shocked
he's
if
a
they
better
trade
player.
inside of the
He's a better
Atlantic
player.
division.
The one good reason, Coach, is a much better player than Kirby Doc. I think.
Well, I don't know yet what it will be in the future, but my point behind that, they don't trade inside the Atlantic division. So for me, I don't see
No,
Montreal to go that direction. I would be
no.
prefer Montreal Canadiens targeting other players in the NHL prospect, like a Simon Nemec example. I think that's the one I would like Montreal mod that kind of trade for the Montreal to increasing that, and maybe after that to looking for UFA or other kind of trade. I disagree with Zegras. I don't want Zegras Montreal Canadiens. The rumor
No,
we heard about
no,
that recently.
no.
Do you have any rumor you had like the Montreal with prospect or player they targeting or they're
Yeah.
looking for? We know
Well,
Kenyon's looking for make a mega trade, but
yeah. Like, listen, like, there's tons of rumors, right? And like, I have my targets that I like. I think I'm pretty vocal about the kind of players I want Montreal to target, right? Like, I'm a huge McTavish fan. I'm a huge Dvorsky fan in St. Louis. Like, these are all like Montreal needs. It's no secret they need a second line center. They needs to be left hand shot. I think that's and if they can get another right shot defenseman, that would be good. Those are the two big missing pieces, right? So there's not too many kind of like potential top six left hand centers out there, coach, that are say under 25, that are under control. That teams are just dangling out there. So Montreal is going to they'd have to pay a huge price to get any of those guys. So just like we were saying that Buffalo is not an ideal trading partner for Montreal, the best way to do this exercise is go find let's find teams that are good trading partners, look at the assets they have, and that's the best way to kind of look at it, right? So you look at a team like Anaheim, like they're so deep, coach, and prospects, like could Montreal put a package together to get a player like that? Maybe, but Anaheim has everything like in their pipeline, right? Like what do they need from Montreal, like in terms of assets? Like they're pretty much in the same position as Montreal. So, maybe a team like St. Louis, like I know they really like Dvorsky, but depending how badly they want to win, do they want to fast track and maybe get a younger some players they can plug into their lineup? Like I don't know. Like there's so many different but they need a left-handed center for sure. Ideally under 25 that can come in and play in their top six. So
ah, it was something where Marco. So I can watch all the game everywhere. Like I have a box everything like that, right? The last 24 hours, every time I click on TV Sport, they gave me some information from CBC.
Okay.
I was
Interesting.
like, what's going on? And I read both, I read Shark, everything like that. And now and I cannot do it. The game tonight, like Tampa Bay, the on the TV, TV Sport number one. And now I click back, and now I got this back. So I don't know what happened on my
Weird.
night box, everything like that, but that's happening.
Hmm.
Now, we're going to do an exercise for Marco. I'm going to put him on the hot seat, but I want you guys in the chat, you respond. And don't forget, please, to click on the like if you don't mind. Welcome back, David, by the way. It's this part, Marco. It's not big. It's not like, oh my God, but it's a projection, your vision, and tell us yes or no. Will these players stay or be moved in the next 2 years? So we are at the end of the season 25. I want to
Yeah.
think about this. Not 25, 26, not 26, 27, but 27 and 28 season.
Okay.
I'm going to
Wow.
see those players with the Montreal Canadiens. I'm going to enumerate a couple. I'm going to bring to you also prospect for the Montreal again. And you guys in the chat, you're going to do the same exercise like Marco has to do. So in 2027, now Marco is going to do his prediction. I'm going to start with Mike Madison. Do you believe Mike Madison will be with the Montreal Canadiens at the season 2027-2028?
I don't believe so. No. No. I think they would moved on by him or from him by that point. It's not impossible, Coach. Like, if he chooses to extend at a reasonable number, like, but he's definitely going to transition out of being in their top four. He has to, right? If you have Hudson and Gooley there. So to me, no, I don't see him being part of the equation in 2027. No, sir.
Nicholas said no. Sanderman said no. Thanks for your answer. Gary said gone for Mike Madison also. And
Starting
next
off
one,
easy. So that was an easy one. Okay, let's go.
Josh Anderson.
Ooh. Year. I'm gonna say no as well. Um, Again, not impossible. Like his deal, I believe, ends at the end of 2026, right? So not impossible. Like, again, he loves playing in Montreal based on how he's playing now, how good of a leadership role he's playing, but no, I just don't with the depth that Montreal's going to be coming up. Now, Montreal doesn't have a lot of Josh Andersons in their system. You have Thorpe, you've got Tuck, you've got Jack-Eye. None of those are right-hand shots. These are all left-hand shooting guys. So not a lot of people in their prospect pool, Montreal, that plays the heavy game like Anderson does. But if I had to bet, I would say no, he won't be there in 2027.
All right. It should be the next one for difficult for me.
All right.
Jake Evans.
Jake Evans. I'm going to say yes. I think at this stage that they're going to sign him to probably like a 4 to 5 year deal. But so I'll say this actually. Depending on how things go, I think they'll sign him to a 4 or 5 year deal. But if they have players that come up and steal his job, it's not impossible that they trade him at that point. So I'm 50-50 on this one. I think that his contract will be beyond 2027, but it's not impossible that Montreal moves him because somebody has come in and stolen his job by then.
That's why 4 years is best, the maximum you can go.
Yeah,
I would
4 or
not give
5 years.
5. Look, Efferson will come in the house.
Even if you go 5, Coach, like I said, it's not going to be super hard to trade a 3.5 million guy with the salary cap at like $150 billion or whatever it's going to be. It's not going to be super hard to move him if you really have to.
Like you said, we're going to know this very quickly about Jake Evans for sure.
Yeah.
Alex Newhook, 2027.
Yeah. I'm going to say yes. Like I think the reason for that is because I think he's going to be just a depth guy, right? So I don't see him popping, like as a top 6 guy. So, he's like, I'll say this: if Alex Newhook can learn how to kill penalties, because at some point here, like depending what happens with Armia and Anderson, you're going to need somebody to come in and kill penalties, right? So I think Alex Newhook has the right tools to be a really great penalty killer. So if he can win himself a role killing penalties, then I think he has utility. He's still a young guy, so I think he could still be part of the solution in 2027.
Talking about his teammate, Kirby Doc.
Yeah. Yes, I still think he will. I don't think he's going to be a center, but I think he could potentially, to me, still has the potential to be a top six winger for sure. Contrary to what Devin thinks, I don't hate Doc. If I think everybody knows, like, he was actually my favorite player last year, like before he got hurt and everything. So yeah, I really like Kirby Doc, and I still think he can be a top six winger. Worst case, if he, I don't think so. Again, who's like players that are going to leave coach or players that are going to price themselves out? I don't think Kirby Doc is going to score 80 points here, right? So I don't think he's going to price himself out. If you have Alex Newhook and Kirby Doc playing on a third line in 2027, or if Kirby Doc is producing 65, 70 points on the second line, then I don't, he's a big guy. It's going to be really hard to replace that size. And he loves playing in Montreal, and he has a great rapport with his teammates. So I don't see any reason why.
So I'm going to see with Kirby Doc because Henry Rabinov talk about this, Mark Elliott or someone else. A Doc cannot play the top six. Okay.
He can potentially can.
But
I
if
wouldn't
you cannot
exclude
make
that.
it, right? If you not make it, because Demidov, Michael Edge, the skill is better.
Yeah.
Do you think, as a third line, Kirby Doc is the right players to be as a winger? Can Kirby Doc become a Josh Anderson or not?
Yeah.
And that's the reason, because I feel like he's not going to be, if he stay like he is right now, Kirby Doc as the third line, Newhook have a better compared to Kirby Doc as the third center, winger or third line players anyway.
One
I
thing you
think Doc
can't.
is not have the right things.
I think so. Like, I think he has the capability to play a two-way game, coach. Like,
But he
I
can
think he does.
he does not do it. That's my problem. Like, you have nothing to
Yeah,
do
I
for
think he
me.
can.
You have nothing to do with someone tell me is injury. No, no. You should go in the corner and battle like never. This is the end of the world. He doesn't. He doesn't have that kind of the mindset, like the DNA, like
Yeah.
Josh Anderson. I don't see
Yeah.
Kobe going to change next year about that
I
kind.
think
Now, can he
so.
become a better player, like a skill wise? Yes, but intensity, I don't see that.
I think I would never count it out because I think he has the potential to do it. I really think he does. We've seen him, like, you remember, coach, like the thing that we liked the most about Kirby Doc was his takeaways in the corner. Like, remember his first year in Montreal? That was the thing that we were blown away. Like, if he went into the corner and had a one-on-one battle, it was like 75, 80% of the time he was coming out the puck. Right. So I think I've seen it from him. I know he has the ability to do it. One thing you can't, like, some people might think like, well, he's not accept to play in a third role, third line role, but I don't think so. Like, at this point in 2027, the bonds that he's going to be creating with his team, and players want to be on a winning team. Like, Montreal is going to be a really good team, I think, in 2027. So I think both players like Kirby Doc and Alex Newhook, if they, like Josh Anderson right now, if you give them a specific role, and again, Doc could be in the top six and he could be playing with Demidov and like a center, right? And could be like getting 60, 70 points. But if that's not the case and he ends up on the third line, I still don't see why he can't succeed in that role. And I think if that's where he is in his career and he accepts that, then I think he would be a good addition at that point.
But now, and Rabner said that you could become another Sam Bennett. I'll be honest with you guys. I don't see that. No, I don't.
No, I don't see. Not
I
Sam
don't.
Bennett. No.
No, but I disagree with. I don't see how you weigh Kirby Doc or some people in that chat. I don't see that way about
Coach,
Kirby Doc.
you
I don't
like,
give up
you
on
don't
Kirby
remember?
Doc. But
No, but you don't remember in the first season how good he was at takeaways and winning battles in the boards? Like that was his superpower. That was what he was good at.
I
He
understand
can do
that.
it.
But I
Yeah.
don't see the consistency of Kirby that. Like you can
Oh,
see right
because right
now.
now
You see,
he's so
remember like a couple
focused.
of weeks ago, Marco, like the team, but Kirby that was one reason why the team was looking good because he played good hockey. Now he come back
Yeah.
again, he's struggling for the last couple of games with the team also. Um,
But coach, like the thing with Doc right now is that he's still trying to prove himself offensively, right? So he's I think he is like he's still trying to establish himself as a top six player. It's either going to happen or if it's not going to happen. So at some point he's going to find his identity, whatever it is. Either he is going to be a top six point producing winger or he's going to need to adapt his game, right? And I think remember, coach, we talk about betting on players who care about the game and care about the team. I say what you will, but everything that we've seen about Kirby Doc is that he cares about the team, cares about winning, and everything else. So I would bet on a guy like that to be part of the team. Now, what role it's going to be, it really depends on his development and how he decides to go. Right, but I right now I think the reason that you're seeing him not be as complete as we've seen him in the past, he's maybe trying to try things or kind of over kind of complicating things to create offense. That's my opinion. But if you give him a specific role like Anderson, I think you could do really well in that kind of role.
people talk about Crosby. People talk about Crosby in the chat, and I said, okay, if N26 would be in the chat, he would tell you that. But I'm going to do N26 when now he's not here. Crosby's don't go
Yeah.
nowhere. He's never going to leave the Pittsburgh Penguins. So I just want to repeat, but I just Marco, I don't see that for Kirby. That we're going to move on. We'll see what's happening about this. And I'm not like negative about Kirby. That I don't see. It's not like I don't believe. Like I don't believe on Kirby. Like not what I not said. I just don't see that kind of the third role, the role as the third line with the Montreal. That's the only thing I would say. Montembeau, 2027.
I don't think so. No, I think by 2027, I think they're going to be rolling with Dobes and with Fowler by then. Um, I'm a huge believer in Fowler. It really depends how quickly they decide to roll him out, but I don't see Fowler playing more than one season in Laval, to be honest. So I would say no.
I think Laine.
In 2027, I'm going to say no. And again, not just based on his play right now, right? But I think just at this stage, again, depending on kind of where they're at with stuff, like again, if Kirby Doc does end up on the wing in the top six, then he's taking Laine's spot on the wing, assuming that you have a center, whether it's Demidov or somebody else, and then you need a left shot for that second line. So to me, the only reason that you have Patrick Laine in your lineup, he has to play top six. So to me, in 2027, I think you're going to see either Michael Hage or Kirby Doc in the top six as a right winger on this team. That's my prediction. Again, I suck. I don't like making predictions.
Maybe
But
Patrick Laine will be out this summer.
Listen, I don't know. We'll see. You're asking me for 2027, which means are they going to re-sign Patrick Laine?
No,
It has. I don't think so. Just because of it was meant to be a transitional guy, and we hope that he can. We hope he gets back on track. I still have still have a lot of hope that he's going to play better, but I don't envision him being like part of the long term plan here. No.
Michael Edge.
There you go. Answered my question. So I don't know if he's going to be a center. He could surprise me, right? But again, another right-handed shot.
Can I stop you,
Coach, that's
Marco?
why. Yeah.
There's someone I read today, and I apologize I cut you, but I think you're going to tell me because you know exactly. I cannot remember where, but I believe they use the fact like Michael Edge could become the Jordan Kyrou for the Blues. When he used that, Jordan Gary was a center in the past, and he moved as
Yeah,
a winger with the Blues. I think could
yeah.
be a good way to compare Michael Edge. Are you agree with that?
Very similar player, right? Like I think very very speedy player, lean. Like he's tall. So yeah, I like that comparison.
Yeah, me
Jordan
too. I
Carew.
was like, oh, this is really good one.
Yeah, yeah. So again, I'm not sold on Michael Hage being a center, but even if he is coach, again, all of our all of our center
Yeah,
prospects and ones that they're all right-handed shots, right? So that's still an issue, even if you keep Evans, so yeah, so I'd say probably on the wing, but I think based on the projection, I don't know if I think he might sign. I don't know if he's going to go back to college. I don't know.
90% for me.
You 90%?
Yeah,
I would love to see him come to Laval next year. To be honest, play a full year in Laval. I would like to see that.
he need to be better on his game overall. The 200 feet, like Owen Beck.
Yeah,
If
but I
he
would
can
rather
improve
him do
that,
that.
the way like his head coach, the head coach have a show every week. I think at 6 p.m. On the Michigan with the team. The team have a show with the coach corner, something like that. And he talked
Okay.
about Michael Edge, many times. And he considered he would the benefit of him for Michael Edge is to stay one more year and to be like the Ren Leonard of this year and say like dominant, carry on the team with him, maintain like that. And Michigan right now he play on the second line. They're going to lose a couple of players also next year. He's going to be his first line. I I feel like he's right about this, and I see the last couple of games. He got point, no doubt, but it's not only point, right? You can evaluate
No,
a
no,
player.
no,
You have
for
to go
sure.
around that. He need to improve
Yeah,
his face-off. Need to improve his defensive zone coverage. He need to cover better, and I think there'll be more benefit, Marco about that. Now, he played Laval. I know says negative too, but I feel he was going to stay one more year.
yeah. We'll see. Like, to me, the big reason you want to stay in college is if you need to get stronger, right? Because you can spend so much more time in the gym versus playing games. So I won't be mad either way, but my preference is still to, because Laval's going to have such a good team coach. I'd like him to be part of it. I would just like him to get into the schedule of playing more games, all that. But either way, it's not a bad choice. Joshua Roy.
But
Um,
just finish with my current because now you give me this. Okay, if he play Laval, do you think he will be on the top six?
yeah, I think so. Because I think if Beck makes the team next year, then I think who's going to be in the top six, coach, is going to be Machar over him.
No, it's going to be still Condola, Gignac,
Okay, well,
Owen
I think you
Beck,
can.
or
No, I'm
Oliver
saying
Kapanen.
if Beck, yeah, like I think one of either Beck or Kapanen is going to make the team next year. So I think there's plenty of room for it. Like I think Hage could be the Beck of next year, like in Laval. But either way, for Roy, that's a tough one. Like we don't talk about him as much, but I think
He's skating
I
now.
would,
I read today he's
yeah,
back on the ice.
yeah. I'd say yes. I still think there's room for him in the top nine, on the third line potentially. But it's really given like like he's really threatened by Heineman, right? Like Heineman has really, really put the heat on him because to me that's the same roster spot that they would have. Because I see Heineman probably is going to be potentially a good third line winger for you. I don't think Joshua Roy is going to be very effective as a fourth line winger, right? So that's a tough one. Um, I'm going to say no, because I think he's got such a good reputation around the league, coach, because of how well he did, like in the World Juniors with everything else. I wouldn't doubt if Chicago would be interested in a player like Joshua Roy because he had such good chemistry with Bedard at the World Juniors. I wouldn't be surprised if Montreal ends up dangling him as part of something uh, to fill another hole. So to me, I think he kind of lost his window. Like it's really, do you agree, Coach? Like him and Heineman, is really they're battling for the same spot, and it looks like Heineman. He hasn't won conclusively yet, but he's definitely in the lead right now for that top 9 spot.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think we'll be gone. Logan Mailloux.
I'm gonna say yes, just because it seems like Habs management love him. Francis Bouillon, like if you like it sounds like it's his son almost. They love Mailloux so much. He seems to have a lot of faith in him. I wouldn't be surprised me if they move him. Because again, you're going to have Reinbacher, but you would really need to you need to trade for Nemec or somebody else, right? If you're not going to if like you need 2 good right-handed shots. I don't mind having a veteran like Savard or a player similar to Savard to play on your bottom pair on the right side. But yeah, so I'm going to say yes because they seem to really like him. So yeah, I'm going to say yes. He's still going to
Right
be
now,
there.
I'll go with yes. We'll see how the development, that year, 2026, Konishkov's coming in town. You're going to have a sick career over there. The development, Rebecca wants to be that, but we'll see. Happening.
Yeah.
Adam Ekstrom.
I just don't like, again, like where's he playing, right? Like at some point, I think like I like the player for sure, but to me that means you have to move Jack-Eye, and I think they're going to prioritize
The only
Jack-Eye
thing with
over.
San Marco is he play on the right side. Like he play a ton of minutes on the right side. Like he can be used on the right side. Um, Can they move
Yeah,
Mayu because Armstrong they can be there? I think it would be with the potential I said to you before that. I think it would be a part of the core, but
I don't know about that.
I
I think
think
he, I yeah, I think they're going to dangle him. I
no,
think they like
this
him
is a
a lot.
big, this is a good piece of the asset to trade,
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah,
right?
him and Joshua Roy, like
Yeah.
if you're putting Joshua Roy and Engstrom together with a high pick, then you're starting to cook with gas a little bit in terms of putting together some assets that a team would be interested in for sure.
Angstrom over Strobel, yes. Just like for my opinion.
I think Struble, like I don't know if you have him on this list, Coach, but
No,
to me, Struble is a great guy to have as your 7th defenseman, right? Like, I would keep Struble, keep working with him because Montreal's going to need, like, I'm a little afraid, right? Like that you're going to, we have so much depth on the left-handed side that you trade so many of them that you no longer have depth, right? So you need to keep some of these left-handed shot defensemen. To me, Struble, I think is good enough to keep in your organization and keep as a 7th guy, right? But not good enough where if you trade him, he's bringing you such a huge return. So he's out der Scheiße, right? Like if you trade him, you're not going to get a huge return. But I still think he can serve a purpose on the team as a 7th defenseman. So I would probably keep Struble over Engstrom.
all right. Let's move on. The last one we have Davidson or Jacka will be there in 2027.
Ooh. I know I can only choose one.
No, you can mention Davidson and or Jacka could be there in 2027. You can do say yes, both can be there or not.
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah. I'm gonna say yes because 2027. Like I don't know if I think there's still. I don't think these are players that are going to be on waivers. Like I think they'll still be waiver protected, right? So I still think they'll be in the organization. I don't know if they're going to be on the Montreal Canadiens roster, both of them, but I still think they'll be in the organization in 2027. Maybe one of them is on the roster, maybe both of them are, maybe none of them are, but I still think they'll be in the organization. I think they like both these players.
Yeah, Davidson for me, I see another Gallagher. Not the Gallagher at the 30 goal, but the kind of intensity. And
He's got
Jekai
a
could become
good
that
shot.
one. Jekai is a really good project to see how he's
Yeah.
going to develop. I don't know what he will be, right? but the project of him is really interesting. Big body. Um, for me, he can
Yeah,
become the Macarua with the Vegas Golden Knight.
that would be amazing.
Right?
Great
I'm talking
player.
about the physique of the body size of Mac Arua with Vegas and Jakai. I think that's the way I see that. And then
Yeah,
we don't talk about player right now like Tyler Top. He mentioned about that over in Prass. We don't know what's going to happen with there. We did not mention Philip Mazar. We don't mention any other players. And Montreal Canadiens organization. We just try to pick up what we expect them at some point to be a part or the top 10. We don't talk about Volenkin in Russia with Kanishka. We don't talk about both of them.
yeah,
And then we never know what will happen with Logan Sawyer and many others. So, but we give you an overview. I think it was a good exercise to do that, Marco.
yeah. Well, I think the important thing. I think we're having this conversation in our group chat. Right? Is you know, we love our prospects, but don't get too cozy with them, right? Because it's pretty rare that a team is going to actually construct their roster with all the players they drafted. You know, there's going to be a lot of trades. There's like Montreal has like, if you look at how many like they have a lot of smaller skilled forwards, like, we can go through the list, right? Like like Machar and players like that. So at some point you're going to need to trade, kind of pieces away to get what you're missing, right? So, and guys, like, you can put together PlayStation trades and like add like five guys to get one guy, but you have to give to get. So don't get too attached. I think there's certain guys that we can be pretty confident that aren't going to get moved, like Demidov and like Hudson and players like that. But Coach, would you be surprised if Cole Caulfield ever got traded in the next 3 years?
Someone asked her that. I did not read that.
Habby says I have a huge head, but I think it just comes I'm closer to the screen than Coach is.
Okay.
How's that?
I
There you
don't
go.
know. I insert left and right about that. Let's move on the next one, if you don't
You,
mind.
you, you dodged my question, Coach. I don't know if you heard my question, but we were talking about, okay, so yeah, like you have to trade good players as you're constructing your roster. Would you be shocked if Montreal even traded Cole
Oh,
Caulfield
I
the next
apologize. I
year?
thought it was you asking me if I see the question in the chat.
I
So,
don't know. I'm
okay.
asking you,
I
like,
said no, I
would you
didn't
be
read
surprised?
it. Oh, okay.
I
You're
don't know.
asking me that?
Yeah,
Um, I will not be shocked. The Brinkat got trade, right? Um, I think you always see the return of return of that. I would not be shocked. I would not be shocked.
yeah, me
I think
neither.
for the size wise, I think it could be another spec about this. About that, I just want to answer to Alan about that. Alan asked about Kubidak, and we talked about him the last couple of minutes. So, if you don't mind, like I mentioned to you, it'll be fine. For Alan, you understand. So, thanks again, Alan. The Clash, Mr. Marco. Here we go. Here we go. 6 questions tonight.
All right.
First one, absolute or not allowed. Patrick Laine deserve the critique and frank criticism.
Sure. I think so. Like, again, as long as it's constructive, like I don't like seeing all kinds of weird rumors being thrown around about him. Like we saw some of that in our chat yesterday, which I didn't love. Does he, again, like I'll put it into two categories, right? We know his history with mental health and his lack of confidence sometimes. So I I'm not going to ever criticize Patrick Laine for going through parts where he's not producing, right? So let's say he's not scoring goals or he's missing chances or mishandling the puck. That happens. I'm not going to criticize a guy for excelling at the highest level in the world. Like, I'm never ever going to play at that level. So who am I to critique somebody who is not scoring goals at that stage? What I can critique though is him playing the right way, because he showed us that he can do that. I think it's crazy to me, right? Like when he started playing, I was shocked about how well he was actually playing defensively, coach. Like he was back checking, he was making sure that he was always in between his guy and the net, like they're just playing good fundamental hockey. And I think he was a really big part of not just because of the power play goals he was scoring, but because I think he was playing pretty well. Like that second line, like you mentioned earlier, when Doc started playing better, he was a big part of that. So I think absolutely, like he just because you have an anxiety disorder, or if you have mental health problems, it doesn't mean that you have carte blanche completely, right? You're in a public role. You're a hockey player. So again, I don't want to see people criticizing him in a unethical way, or in a way that's just kind of making up crazy stories about him. And I'm not going to criticize him for going through some bad times and having a bad streak. But I think it's fair for us to say, hey, why aren't you in the position that you're supposed to be according to the game plan? So I think it's completely fine to do that.
Absolutely, I agree with you about that. Also, the second one for everybody in the chat, Sakowski enough. Only 24 years old. When I said that about Juraj Sakowski, we always said, "Oh, he's
Yeah,
only
yeah.
20 years old. He's only 20 years old. He's only 20 years old." I think is it enough? Are you agree with that to give that excuse, or not at all anymore?
It's going to be a very similar answer to what I just said about Laine. So I'm not going to. So again, I doubt that Slavkovsky has major issues with his confidence right now, and it's affecting his decisions with the puck, and he's hesitating and all those things. Absolutely, and I'm not going to criticize him for that. That is part of being 20 years old, figuring it out, understanding who you are, all that stuff. So I'm not going to criticize that. But similar to what I just said about Laine, and I talked about him when I called him in the office earlier, is he's got to play the right way. He's got to win his puck battles. He's got to play within the game plan, not make terrible choices. Now, again, making bad choices sometimes is also part of lack of confidence. So that's the tough part for St. Louis, is that he's got to be able to separate out. Okay, so the things that we're seeing on the ice, which ones are bad habits and like lack of concentration, or lack of understanding of what we want him to do, and which ones are him panicking and not having confidence, right? So that's the balance with him. So I think there's certain things that I'm okay with being patient because he's 20 years old. But like I said, the word I used when I was talking about him before, there should be non-negotiables with Slavkovsky. And my concern with him at this stage is we listen. We're not in the dressing room. We don't know kind of the conversation. Everything we hear about him is that he is hard on himself. He cares. He practices a lot. So it's not that he's lazy. It's not that he doesn't care. So, but we just need to make sure that he understands the non-negotiables, the basic things he needs to do on the ice to be successful. So I know it's not a straightforward answer, Coach. Like some people
No,
say,
I
"No."
understand your point of view.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Someone
How about
told
you?
today about they are worried about him to become a bit a couple of players like the owners with a big contract and then they disappear. So
Uh, I
I
don't
think it
know.
was
I don't
Eric
know if that.
Benanger said that.
Yeah. So again, like the reason that they bet on him, Coach, is because they trust in his character, right? So I don't think I don't think the money is going to go to his head, and I think he really cares and
But
he wants to do the
I see a change on behavior about Sarkowski. I
yeah.
don't see the same. Like I don't know. He have a girlfriend. He have other things going on around his life, and I think for me, he does not act the same way like he was before.
No,
Yesterday's
like
only game, laugh with the players on the bench. After that, I don't know.
yeah. I don't know
Again,
if I wouldn't read it into that too much.
I,
Like
I'm
honestly, like
I'm a little bit concerned. Not the same it was a couple of months ago, but we'll see how he's going to react again. Next one, Zuski. We expect more.
I don't know what's more you can expect. Like again, like
Now,
are there like
when I said that, I'm not talking overall. I'm talking about the last 2 3 weeks when Montreal Canadiens.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. Yeah, like well, listen, like I think when we talked about who to call into the office, like I have to say, like the California trip, to me, the whole first line didn't really show up for the trip. Like, I don't know what the reason is. Of Again, I don't think being tired can be an excuse because everybody's playing a lot of games and everything else. But even Caulfield, I think Caulfield's had a really, really like almost irreproachable season. Like he's been very consistent. I've loved his effort, but I found even Suzuki and Caulfield were a little less visible in this road trip. So listen, overall, I think really happy with Suzuki's season. A lot more consistent. Really tough start though, like we talked about in October. I didn't like it as October, but since October, I think he's been really strong. Again, have there been some games where his performance has dipped? 100%, right? But I think, what's the expression, Coach? I use this all the time because I think it makes a lot of sense. Martin Saint Louis calls it an 80-20 league, right? So, you're like, and the other concept I like that Saint Louis has is your bottom has to get better, right? So, Suzuki's bottom is much better than it used to be, right? So he's not always going to have his A game, but his B game is much, much better than it used to be. So I don't have any concerns there.
Okay, when I say expect more, it's like about the last 10, 15 game. I think Zuski should absolutely need more. Carfield has 2 goals only in the last 10 game. Sakeski struggling, and he has the carry on Sakeski on his shoulder. I don't talking about the point, but he got beat the last couple of games against the opponent team. Maybe opponent team have a better look. The line Capital last game, the line
But
Celebrity. I
here's
can go
yeah.
the
So
last 10
remember,
game I'm talking about. 12
okay.
game.
So overall in the last 10 games, I talked about this before, right? What was Montreal? I don't know if you agree with me. Tell me if you agree with me or not. I've mentioned it a couple times during the show. Montreal was successful when they were rolling 4 lines, right? Now, this is all of a sudden when Heineman went down, Suzuki and Caulfield start playing extra minutes, playing on the fourth line, playing here and there. So maybe that's part of it, right? Like they just don't have the same. Like Suzuki is the one thing when things start to go bad is when his skating goes down, right? So if you can keep him in that 18-minute mark, I think that's when he's the most effective, right? So I think, is there a coincidence that when they started double shifting those guys, that their performance started to dip a little bit? What do you think?
Again, for me, Suzuki need to own it, not the point. I understand your point of view, the roll, the 4 line, everything like that, but Suzuki perform a lot on power play, Marco.
Yeah.
A lot of his point come on the power play, and the power play does not have a productivity without that. I still feel like he has a lot on his shoulder, first of all. He needs to carry on Sakeski all the time right now, and Sakeski doesn't do that. So, in my opinion, the first line disappear a lot in the last couple of games. And there's only one that line can carry on that line is honestly Suzuki, in my opinion. So I think I need more for Suzuki to carry on the team. And I know it's a lot. I understand Marco is there every game, and I understand that. But I need something more for Nick Suzuki. Next one, have progression team after 52 game. I agree or not?
Yeah, well, I like my headline was all about that this year, right? So if you look at the numbers I shared at the beginning of the game, so right now they're at 54 games. So at this time last year, they were 7 games under 500. They're 20, 27, and whatever, like a whole bunch of loser points, and they're 1 game ahead, above 500 right now. And they're up on goals for, down on goals against. So overall, for sure, a progression. Again, for a little disappointing, like they kind of tricked us a little bit, and they kind of got our expectations. We got a little excited, but that's fine. It was a fun time and it was exciting. But I think you just can't lose sight, though, overall, that it's still at this stage, anyways. Like if they only play for 300 hockey the rest of the season, then I'm not going to be happy. Like they still need to progress, and I want them to continue to progress, right? So a lot of people here want to see them tank, not just because you're going to not going to make the playoffs. I don't want to see them tank. I don't want to see them lose 3 out of every 10 games until the end of the season. I want them to
Super Chat.
Yeah, the super chat. Ronnie Odette did it for the Hockey National Show. Mr. Ronnie is on Dallas tonight. Thank for all the likes. Super chat. Thank you, Mr. Ronnie Odette. Celebration of Marco also at the same time. He did like he do all the time. I appreciate a lot about that. Here's my point about that one there. I know it's slightly about this progression for the team. Other than the fact the power play or the PK, where we are better.
wins record. The
They're only
record.
3 points over.
Yeah, the record is better. Like they've won more games in regulation. I think if you like, okay, so we agree that October, if you take away October, because we talked about this a whole bunch, their training camp was terrible, and the first month I eliminated almost out of the equation, right? So if you look at things, say from November, if this team comes back and plays the same way that it did in like since November, excuse me, and we see, like, let's see how they do towards the end of the season here. But let's say if you take the record from November till now, it's a much, much better team on all fronts than it was all of last year.
Oh. Mark Elliott did it again, guys. $20. Super chat number 2. He did it again, Mark Elliott, another supporter of the Hockey Nation Show. Mark, you're amazing. We appreciate that. Mark and Ronnie, you have some hype about that. I don't want to get there because it will take too much time, Marco, and we pass the time, so I want to move on to the next one, if you don't mind. And Ronnie with that, guys, we have to go again. Hat trick, Marco, on that one again. Yeah, and last one in the fridge, Marco. You have a couple.
Oh yeah, like I didn't bring another one with me, so.
Thank you, Ronnie. There we go. At 20, a 5, at 10 for total of 35. Thanks so much, everybody, to be a part of the show tonight. We appreciate that for every one of you guys. You are rock and roll. Better contract Caulfield over Sakaski in 2028.
Well, they're pretty similar contracts, right? So
yeah. And the reason that 2028 because I reached the middle of Sakaski age, by the way. It's not like, why 28, but because he would be like 24 years old, being his peak. So at the end of the day, the value of contract between both is it going to be Caulfield over Sakaski? Absolutely not at all.
That's a really hard one, Coach. Like, it really depends. What do you mean by better? If you're just looking like point,
the
like
value,
like
the player, the value of the player with the Montreal Canadiens at that one represent the contract.
Yeah, but like value can mean a lot of different things, right? If you mean like points per dollar
for the
ratio,
Montreal Canadiens.
Okay. So
the impact
if you're not just
of
looking
the player
at
for the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah. Okay, great. So, yeah, like it's. I would say that it's probably Slafkovsky. Okay, so you're saying Caulfield is going to be better than Slafkovsky's in 2028? True or false? That's the question, right? You're suggesting that Caulfield, the value of Caulfield's contract is going to be better than Slafkovsky in 2028.
Yes,
that's what you're saying.
Yes,
I'm going to disagree.
So not at all.
I'm going to say not at all, not at all, because I think at that point Montreal's in the playoffs, and Slav is brings a lot of intangibles, hopefully. So yeah, I'm gonna say it's pretty equal. Like I think they'll still both be in the top 6. I think if you're just looking at points, Caulfield's probably going to outpace him there. But I think it's going to be pretty equal. I give slight edge to Slafkovsky if everything goes well. Not just regular season, though, but I'm talking playoffs and what he'll bring in the playoffs.
How many games Montreal has right now? 50 what?
54.
54?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Are you sure? It's not 52?
Yeah. No,
54?
54 games. Yeah, 54, and they're 25, 24, and 5. 55 points.
So Montreal last year, they have 52 and 53 games.
Yeah. Yeah. They had a lot of loser points, Coach.
So last year, they have -2 points behind 54. So
yeah. But less wins, right? Like a lot of overtime losses.
Yep. And the last one, Mr. Marko. And for the people in the chat, your prediction of the Super Bowl. The Chiefs win over the Eagles. Absolutely not allowed.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hey, look, I did watch. I do watch some of the playoffs, right? So I by no means am I a football expert at all. So I did watch the Bills game. So what we're seeing from from the Chiefs and from Mahomes is again, you're gonna have people talk about like that the league is plays a lot of favoritism towards Mahomes and all that stuff, but what he's doing is pretty incredible, right? So we didn't think that anybody was really going to be in the same conversation as Brady for being the greatest of all time, but nobody's ever won 3 Super Bowls in a row, Coach. I think I don't know if it's no team has ever won 3 in a row or the same quarterback.
Pittsburgh Steelers, I think they did it.
Okay. But it wasn't the same quarterback. I know that if Mahomes wins, he'll be the only quarterback.
I think they did. It was Terry Bradshaw.
No, I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, but I don't think any. I don't think any.
I know the football. I know.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, so you're the expert.
You got talking about football. We don't know about.
I don't know. I don't know a lot about football, but again, like I know the Eagles are a good team, and but it's hard to bet against Mahomes, right? Just like you're rooting to see history. It's kind of like Ovechkin right now chasing the record. So I don't know. Like it should be a fun game. I'll tune in. Hope for a nipple slip in the intermission or whatever happens in the Super Bowl halftime show. So I'll be watching, but
Super Chat.
Marko, $20 Super Chat with a $5 additional for Ronnie Odette, guys. $25. We have to do one more time before we let you go, Mr. Marko. Thank you so much, Ronnie. We did it again for the Hockey National Show, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Ronnie, some hype, some love also for you, my friend. Very kind of you to do that. We got through everything, Marko. I know we passed. The dog is maybe around after you. But quickly, I'll leave you. Give us 2 more minutes, Marko, for give us your preview of the New Jersey and the Tampa Bay Lightning, your prediction of the game for the Montreal Canadiens. So after that, we'll let you go.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I'm not good at predictions, right? But I think right now Montreal is just limping its way to the break here. They've had really good success against Tampa, but Tampa's really going to be scrapping to get those points as well, right? So I'm going to predict 2 out of 4 points here somewhere. I hope it's against Tampa because having the Atlantic, having the 4-point game. Let's hope that Allen plays for the Devils. I know he plays pretty well, but
the Devils right now lost again, Marko. I think the record is really not good right now.
He sure's out as well, right? So might be a bit of a depleted lineup. So they have like Dawes and Allen that's kind of holding the net right now. So yeah, I'm gonna say probably a win. We'll hope for a win against New Jersey. It would be great to wrap up the break. I know for the team themselves, I'm sure they would enjoy the break a lot more if they could kind of finish the game here. But more than anything, Coach, what I want to see, I don't care if they necessarily.
Go
Super
ahead, Marco. I
chat.
will do it after that.
Yeah, we'll do it
Thanks a lot,
after.
Maurice.
Yeah, thank you, Maurice. So more important than winning, I just want to see them playing the right way again, right? So we talked about this last time. They had played a pretty decent game against Winnipeg, but they still lost. So they just need to get back on track and play some more steady hockey. Hopefully, they can kind of put it together.
And that's it, Marco. We'll let you go because you passed the time, so I apologize for that. I think it was a good show overall. I think we
Yeah,
hit very well. I think the 2 years, the 2 years was a good, it's fun exercise
it was fun.
about that. So
Yeah,
definitely to see you next week. Next week, I don't know the schedule of the Four Nation.
yeah,
We'll pick it up
yeah,
maybe Wednesday, Thursday next week for
yeah.
the
It'd be
notebook.
fun to do like a special or something for Four Nations. I think that would be fun. Get Michael on and
Yeah,
let's figure it
that'd be
out next
great.
week, Coach.
Yeah, we can do that. Definitely. We'll see what he at about that. So, wish you an amazing, great night, Marco. Thanks so much for your help tonight. I can wait to see you next week and enjoy your day off tomorrow. Tomorrow, you deserve it. I think you did a lot of hours for the last. That was
Yeah,
almost 1 year now with your new
yeah. It's
role,
been
right?
busy. Yeah, it's been almost a year. So it's been busy. So it'll be nice to take a day and just relax with the wifey and the doggy and just have some fun. Go out to dinner tomorrow. It's gonna be fun.
Just let you know we want to know some breaking news in football. Uh,
Yeah,
the quarterback for the the Buffalo Bills, Buffalo Sabres, got the
yeah.
MVP, Jake Allen. So congratulations for Jake Allen, the MVP
Nice,
about that.
nice.
So that's happening for
He is
him.
amazing.
Yeah. So that's
All
all,
right, guys.
Marco. I will see you
Thank
next
you.
week. Have a great day off tomorrow. It was Marco Larabi, guys, with the co-host of the Canadian Show. But first of all, go to do the super chat of Maurice Robillard. Maurice is in Thailand with Kenneth. Kenneth was with us. And Roy is also Reggie. He's asleep right now. Maybe he got a cheese last night. We don't know about Reggie. I'm going to tell you a story about the cheese the next few minutes. Super chat, Maurice. Thank you so much, Maurice, for the super chat tonight. We appreciate a lot for Ronnie, also and Mark Elliott, also. And Toronto Maple Leafs score under the goal with us 2-0. Again, what a great show tonight, guys. We appreciate a lot. Not guaranteed for tomorrow night, but if we do a show tomorrow night, it will be more a fun Friday night, a Q&A with a friendship quiz. So I'm not guaranteed everything. Maybe I need some time tomorrow night, but we'll see. And then Saturday, Sunday, we do at 1 o'clock a.m. my time. So it'll be very busy, plus the Super Bowl. So maybe I'll take some rest, but I'm not guaranteed. Check your notification, check 8:30. I'll be right back about that. But just be careful in Thailand. I'll finish with that story, guys. So last night we're hanging out after I watched Demidov. And then we go at the Black Minou and everything. And then we met people, everything like that. And now people knows me. A lot of cheese knows me. Someone's pop up on my table. She said, "Hey, I remember you." I said, "Oh, that's great." I do have no clue about her. Like I do not remember her at all. I said, anyway, I stay with her. We shut down the bar at 4:10. Like they they shut down the windows, everything like that. So we have to use the back door. Get out there. I pick up someone. We are two guys, three girls. We walk to go get some noodle for eat. I turn on my phone this morning. I got a picture from another cheese. She was walking behind me. She took a picture of me with the girls around her, and she sent to me, she said, "What are you doing?" What do you mean what I'm doing? She took a picture, sent to me. Like, everywhere you walk in Thailand, just be careful. You never know what could happen in Thailand. So I got cut on this one last night about this one. Oh, look, last night was the cheese was high last night. The choice was on the table, but not to buy cheese, but it was all Thailand cheese last night. What if I open my soul? I apologize for that one. It was a great night. I said to Luciano this morning, I said, when you walk on the street and you see monk walking beside you, because it's late in the morning or it's early in the morning, because the monk walk in the dark around 5:15. So I came back at 5:30, and the guard, when I opened the door, poor guy, he's big smile. He looked his watch. Pretty late. Cat call, Mr. Super, the guard. That's all we got tonight, guys. We want to thank all the super chat. Ronnie Odette, you're amazing. Mark Elliott, Maurice Robillard, thanks so much for all the super chat. We want to thank everybody to be a part of the show tonight. Moderator Ron Luciano and after. Andre Calabro, very busy tonight at the news update. And all of you guys, you click on the like. We got 55, 56 likes. That's what we do. And Marco Larabi with co-host with me. Marco does another great job. So all of you guys, thanks so much to be a part of the show tonight. I can't wait to see you the next time. Until then, guys, remember, the only reason we grow and we do the very well is because each one of you, you are
awesome. You are amazing. You are the best. And remember, you have greatness inside of you.
Exactly. We have greatness inside of you. That's who you are. Don't forget, guys, to be the light. Want to be a light is someone make it fun to anybody else around you. You don't have to be your wife, your son, your daughter, but you can be a light of anyone. So make an impact to anyone you know around you. It takes only a text, a phone call, one few seconds to open the door to someone older, like Luc Laforcine. Or you can pay the coffee to someone on the line at the McDonald's. Whatever you do, don't forget to be the light. Until then, my friend, be wild, be healthy. Find a way not only dominate your day, or find a way to dominate the first half of what? I don't know, Nicolas is already in the bed, but he would set 2025. We wish you an amazing great night, everybody. The Hockey Nation Show, the Ad Nation want to tell you one more thing. We love you, friends. Great night, everybody. See you next time. Good night, Joey. You show up late, Joey. Don't forget to click on the like. Say merci, Nicolas. T'es encore, t'es pas encore 007. Thanks so much. Mike Elliott, thanks again for everything. And RJ Calabro again in our top. Maurice, you single coach. Yeah, I do this the right way. I'm a good man for the people here. Richard here. You welcome, maybe 007. Have a good night, everybody. Thanks, Luc. Here we go. One more time. Oh, 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 oh. Booyah!